Which would you say is the more painful Chief Super Bowl defeat?
Ooh.
If we ask Niner fans, man, what was more painful, their loss in Miami in Super Bowl 54 or the loss in Vegas in Super Bowl 58 in overtime? What's the more bitter loss in your mind?
I think it's the more recent one. In retrospect, like, yeah, they were up 10 with six minutes left. That's rough. But that Chiefs team with Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes against Jimmy Garoppolo, like, I'm sorry. I don't know. It almost felt inevitable that was going to happen eventually in that game. And I know the Niners feel like they got screwed on 3rd and 15. I don't know. I think they just got outclassed by a better team. But this last year with Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey and Tyreek Hill's gone, it was a worse version of the Chiefs. And the Niners won the toss in overtime. And we all know what happened. It just feels like that one's a little bit harder to – it's a harder pill to – it's a tougher pill to swallow, that one.
You know, it's funny. I have more complaints with Shanahan in 54 than 58. I just have more complaints. I felt like he knew he was going up against an explosive offensive team. He shut it down at the end of the first half when he didn't really need to. He wasted a drive there. I didn't like the fact that Debo was the MVP at halftime and he only got 2 touches in the second half. I mean, he's a runner and a receiver. If it's just a receiver, then you can tell me in the postgame that we just couldn't, scheme it up for him. But once he's a runner and a receiver and he only got 2 touches, that's on you. So I blame Shanahan for much more for that Super Bowl 54. And they just, but also that Chief team was better. I actually think that this Niner team with Purdy, like, I never believed in Jimmy. So I do believe in Purdy. So it was harder to see Purdy lose than Jimmy because I kind of expected Jimmy to get outclassed there. But I would say the latest one's more painful because I thought Brock and the Niners were going to get it done. I really did. All week I thought, okay, they're going to get it done. They're going to get it done. And they just didn't. And it wasn't a vintage Chiefs team. This was a Chiefs team in total transition, and the Niners were the most talented team in the league, and they should have won. So yeah, this one to me is worse. The one in 54, that Chiefs team was just an offensive explosion waiting to happen, and you just couldn't keep it down for that long. I mean, eventually they were going to come back and get you, and eventually they did. All right, couple more before we get out of here. How many years since it's Andy Reid against Kyle Shanahan here? Andy Reid got run out of Philly after, I think, 13 years. How many years is Jed York going to give this regime without that 6th Lombardi trophy before he says, you know what, I'm just not feeling it anymore and it's time to move on? This is year 7, I believe, or is this, yeah, this is year 7, right?
This is year 8.
This is year 8.
Year 8. Yeah.
This is year 8. They've had 7 years. This is year 8. Reed had 13 years, and eventually then they said, get out. He went to KC. He's now won 2 and probably on his way to a 3rd at some point. How many years do you really, if you're predicting this, how many years is Jed going to give John and Kyle? And when if he ever does get rid of them, does he get rid of them individually because he made such a big deal about how they were a team, or does he keep one and get rid of the other?
That's a great question. I think we compare him to Andy Reid for obvious reasons, but on the 49ers, the magic number might be 10 because that's how long Bill Walsh coached. And it would be interesting to have Kyle Shanahan like outlast Bill Walsh with no Super Bowls. It would almost feel blasphemous. Like, to make it past Bill Walsh on the 49ers without 1 ring seems wrong. So maybe he needs to like actually get a ring in the next couple of years. The thing with Andy Reid was like, he had Donovan McNabb and then he had to transition to another quarterback, and he had some good years with Michael Vick, but then he got old and there was nowhere to go after that. They needed to start over. With Kyle, like, you have your quarterback. You don't get to find another quarterback after Brock. If you can't make the playoffs this year with Brock, does that mean there's something wrong with Brock, or does that mean there's something wrong with Kyle? I have a feeling Brock's going to stay here longer than Kyle. That's my feeling. So Kyle has to show that he's worthy. And I don't know, like we'll see. I think we all expect them to make the playoffs, but that's not a given right now. They just went 3-3 through the easiest part of their schedule. So I think there's some pressure on him.
I would say even though they haven't gotten it done and there's a lot of people who are getting impatient, I would say if you said to me, make a prediction based on everything I know about Jed, the situation, I think they've got like, this is year 8. I think they've got probably a dozen years. They probably have 12 total years. So this is year 8. They would have 9, 10, 11, 12. I would say Jed will still give them, as long as they're not bottoming out, I would say they're going to get at least 12 years. At 12 years, I think even Jed will be like, you know what? That's it.
Well, hold on. I don't think it's about Jed. I could be wrong. I think this is going to come down to his parents.
It might not be. It may not be.
I think it's going to come down to his parents. Maybe I'm wrong, but I still think they're the ones with the money. And I think I think they were heavily involved in hiring Kyle, and it's not in their interest to fire him. I think they feel good about that hire. But one of the things they like about Kyle, or have liked about him for a long time, is he makes them a lot of money. Primetime games, playoff games. Like, he's a cash cow. But recently he's been costing them a lot of money. I mean, renegotiations, extensions left and right, and they've said yes. And so if he starts costing them more than he generates, then it'll be an easy decision. So teams getting real expensive. You better keep going to NFC Championship games, baby. At home, so the Yorks can profit.
Let's hit the supers, and then we'll hit a couple last thoughts, and then we'll get out. Matthew Sanders says, Chiefs as dogs is hilarious. Andy never, ever loses off the bye, and he has Kyle Shanahan's number. I think it's 4 in a row. Smash that bet. Kyle needs a 46-point lead in the fourth quarter to feel safe. That's probably not that.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch the Niners -1.5 against the Chiefs right now. I wouldn't touch that.
No, and don't tease it either. Chiefs are too explosive. Yaz Williams says, Grant, I won 120 on Sleeper tonight. 120.
Shout out to Yaz. Yeah. Congratulations. That's a special feeling.
Green Glass Full. Grant, are you on Adderall asking for a girlfriend?
No, I actually took Adderall a couple of times without a prescription in college because it was kind of the thing that people did, and I hated it. I was an English major, so I never had to go on those like long, like all day studying sprees. I just had to read books and write essays. But I hated the way it made me feel, and I'd always get like a cold afterward. And I was like, I'm not going to get cracked out to do studying.
Wasn't it Brandon Browner? Brandon Browner of the Seahawks was that an Adderall? Or
if you ever want to be really locked in, focused for 12 hours, take some Adderall.
Really?
Oh my God, it's intense. I don't like it. It's not for me.
Moises Rosales says, any update on Mason? Worthy will score on us at least once. Juju will get shut down.